Good evening and welcome to the Town Council meeting of Monday, April 24th, 2023 at 7:29 p.m. here in the McKinnon Council chambers. I apologize to people here in the audience and at home. Meeting went long and we had a few problems setting up, but here we are, we're ready to go. Tonight's meeting relative to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, and for the benefit of the public, this meeting is being recorded by both video and audio methods. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, roll call.
Councillor Adams?
Present.
Chair Daniel?
Present.
Councillor Dow? Councillor Lazo?
Present.
Councillor Marchetti?
Excused.
Councillor Montigny?
Present.
Councillor Rivas?
Present.
Councillor Ryan?
Present.
And Councillor Steves.
Excused. We have 7 present. We have a quorum. Item number 3, consider and accept the Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, April 10th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 4, subcommittee reports. Department of Public Works is normally Councilor Marchetti. In his absence, Councilor Dow.
We have a few items, all that was approved at the subcommittee.
Very good, thank you. Education and Human Services, Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. We had a meeting on April 12th, Wednesday at 6 p.m. It was just a budget meeting. We did the Southbridge Public Schools, Bay Path, Health Department, Veterans Budget, Recreation Budget, and unclassified budget. Everything was recommended unanimously, maybe a tweak or so in the Health Department. We can talk about when budget comes up. We have another meeting scheduled for this Wednesday, April 26th at 7 p.m. in the Veterans Room. We have a couple Recreation Committee appointments to discuss, as well as a Board of Library Trustees applicant, and then the Library Budget and Community Center budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 4C, General Government. Councilor Steves is not here right now. We'll move beyond that. Item 4D, Planning and Development. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to, on April 19th, agenda item number 12 on tonight's agenda. Our next P&D meeting is May 1st. Our regular scheduled next P&D is May 1st. This Wednesday we have the P&D budget hearing, and then ARPA. We had a meeting on April 6th, which items 13 through 18 are on here this evening. That's all I've got.
Very good, thank you. 4E, Protection of Persons and Property. Councilor Lazo.
We had a meeting on the 19th. We covered the police budget, fire budget, inspections, and public safety. I thought it was a very productive meeting. We had some strong discussion on a position in inspections, but everything moved forward. Thank you.
Very good. Item number 5, Chairman's Announcements. I wish to thank Hannah in the Town Manager's Office and Evelyn in the Town Clerk's Office for compiling a thorough and complete listing of vacancies on various town boards, committees, and commissions. The information is available on the town website and cable TV channels. It includes the various boards needing volunteers, the amount of people needed, and the length of term available. We always need volunteers and want new faces to join with those already serving. Now would be a great time to gain personal rewards and satisfaction while serving your fellow citizens. Please consider becoming a member of one of the 15 opportunities listed. The annual Beautify Southbridge Day is this Saturday, April 29th. The rain date is Sunday, April 30th. If you are interested in helping to make Southbridge a better-looking community, come and join other citizens at the Town Hall, 41 Elm Street, at 8:30 a.m. You will receive trash bags, gloves, and an area to help clean up. Refreshments are being provided. Questions may be directed to the Health Department at 508-764-4252. That's 508-764-4252, and this Saturday, the 29th. Thank you. That's all I have. Next item agenda is the Town Manager's announcements. Mr.
I have
Manager.
no announcements, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. We'll move on to item 7, presentations. We have a Veterans Council initiative. Vice Chair Adams will lead that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, council members, town manager, residents of Southbridge. I just wanted to, we're required to meet or come to the town council twice a year, usually in May and November, but unfortunately I won't be here for the first meeting in May. We wanted to get some information out on the Memorial Day Parade that's happening on the 29th of May. First thing I want to start off with, though, is our project right across the street. If you haven't seen already, they already started. They just laid the groundwork for the cement pour later on this week, so that's great, and they'll stamp it, and then we move on from there. But I want to give you a kind of update. Obviously, I've already gone over this with the town council a few times of why we did this and where we're at right now, but this is kind of like phase one. Phase two is over at Dresser Park. So we've talked about we had conversations with the veterans over the years. We are taking a look at utilizing the space over there for World War I monuments itself. Obviously, we talked about the dedication, which was 1938, and it's the first public park in the town of Southbridge, and it's an actual Veterans Memorial Park. That's completely different than any other parks within our town. So this is the original view. It's a little screenshot from our GIS, and then we have right now over at the park itself one World War I monument. That's it. Now, again, it's the World War Memorial Park because World War II hadn't happened in 1938. So we are making sure that that name goes on with a good sign, which I'll be the Veterans Council of Southbridge will be gifting to the town of Southbridge very soon. This is the original conceptual design. Off to your right-hand side, you'll see the 8 neighborhood monuments. Again, to reiterate, those are the 8 individuals in World War I that passed away in the Argonne Forest in France between 1917 and 1918. We also call neighborhood monuments because they were placed in places where those individuals lived and they could be celebrated and mourned within those neighborhoods. Nowadays, you can't get across the street to see them. They're deteriorating and all that kind of stuff. So what we did was we moved those over to World War Memorial Park, and we were going to put them on granite, but some of the experts on these monuments said leave them alone because you don't know what's going to happen when you start trying to pry them off. Now this is just a real quick design, updated design for our contractor, but here's what it looks like. We want it to look like at this point in time. The only thing missing is in the top left-hand corner where we currently have our flagpole. We're going to put a Franco-American plaque that weighs between 500 to 700 pounds on a piece of granite over there as well. It's all in French. It was acquired over the community center a long time ago, so we're trying to find a perfect spot for it and get it mounted properly. The other 8 monuments are going to go around in that half circle. And tonight, the town council will be voting on some gifts from the Veterans Council of Southbridge. One thing is two lights. This is not the actual design. It's going to be a Victorian style, and there's solar lights at that. So there's 2 that will go around that walkway. The other one is concrete ADA compliant benches. There'll be a total of 3 of those. As you can see, just from that price itself of $1912 or $1921, times that by 3, and then add your shipping, which is probably going to be about $2,000 or $3,000 as well. We're also going to provide 2 benches, concrete benches out there that can be stenciled in with the World War Memorial Park on them, and we're also looking at putting either the town of Southbridge on one or the establishment of that park in 1938 on them. We do have to have a discussion with the park, which is where we're getting these benches from. By the way, that bench alone weighs about 2,500 pounds, and those are over $2,500 a piece, so times 2 plus shipping. And then one of the other ones is obviously the flagpole. Instead of aluminum, we're going to be using fiberglass. Without the flag on top, it goes about 135 miles an hour without worrying about that flagpole breaking in half. And it's kind of the same as aluminum as well. Aluminum is much cheaper than what we're purchasing now, but as you can see, $600 plus we have to have shipping as well. And lastly, which is not on tonight's agenda, but it is something that I appreciate Anna and Dan at the Board of Health or Health Inspector's Office. They have a grant for these waste stations. Right now we have 3 of them, and they're in red, and they have recycling in red and black trash cans. What we're going to do is put one over there, and if you take a look at the very front of them, they have some murals. One will be the Southbridge logo, and the other one will be the Veterans Council of Southbridge logo. Before I go on to the Memorial Day Parade, does anybody have any questions? We're talking about 20 some odd $1,000 being donated to the town as a gift for these items. It's, again, a phased approach that we're attempting to do, and we do have the cash on hand, thanks to all the donors out there. We really do appreciate it. We're very humbled of how much money we've raised in a short period of time. So I want to say thank you to all those individuals, plus the Veterans Council of Southbridge, for dealing with me, myself, the Vice President, Tracy Price, and Keith Roberts, the Veteran Service Officer here for the town of Southbridge, and our Treasurer/Secretary for the Veterans Council. So I'd open it up to any questions from the council or for residents.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I want to thank all your team, and for looking out for Southbridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Appreciate it.
Councilor Lazo.
Just a quick comment on the World War I monument. It's been part of the fabric of Southbridge for so many years, I remember. Matter of fact, I used to hang around with Mr. Shinya behind, we used to play ball behind the monument, football, whatever. But this is the first time anybody's ever did any improvement to this park since I've been on Earth. So when I look at you, Dave, I look at a volunteer that wears many hats. And I think in this case here, I'm glad you're wearing the veteran's hat. I think you're doing a great job. And I know bigger things are coming down on Main Street and Dresser Park. So keep up the good work. Any support you need, we're here.
Thank you, Councilor. Appreciate it.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Chairman Adams. Thank you. Thank you for your work on this. It was one of the first things when I got on council, we were discussing this park being built, and it's so nice to finally see that it's actually coming to fruition, and the work has been done, people have been giving. This is another classic example of Southbridge supporting its own, Southbridge supporting its veterans, and I'm so thankful that you're at the head of this, because I couldn't have thought of a better person, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Anyone in the audience?
I just want you to say our budget is about $100,000. We've already released all that money. So everything's been cash. We have cameras coming in. We have obviously a sign coming in and any improvements as we move along. And I want to say the Garden Club, as far as that's concerned, they're going to be putting some beautiful flowers at Opakam Land Trust as well, putting a couple trees out there. So we really do appreciate all the volunteers that are coming out to help us. Lastly, I wanted, our next meeting is until the end of May that I'll be attending, but our Memorial Day Parade is May 29th, 10 o'clock, right here in front of the Town Hall. We do have, obviously, our fire department, police department, fire and details. We have speakers from the high school coming in. We also have the National Honor Society coming in as well, not only from the high school, but now the middle school has one. Reached out to the Trinity Catholic Academy. They're looking at providing those individuals that will be laying the poppies at the honor roll. You name it. We try to get a couple vehicles out here. It was a little late in the season by the time we got that point of contact, but hopefully next year you may see some track vehicles running down the brand new Main Street. So that'll be awesome if we can get it. I know Keith Roberts will be pushing out. We've already done it on Facebook the days for the flag placements at the cemetery, and we've had so many volunteers that literally these big cemeteries only take a few hours to do. We've got multiple ones. We just don't do the town of Southbridge. We also do the churches as well. So we're always looking for volunteers. The more the merrier. And get a free donut if you want to come out. I'll leave that to any questions. If not, my time is up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Let's move on to item number 8, Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens that tonight would like to address the council on an issue not on tonight's agenda?
William Cody, 243 Everett Street, Southbridge.
Great. Pull the microphone toward you a little bit.
I've always said if you shouldn't complain because you guys spend a lot of time here and stuff. So, you know, if you got something to complain about, you should go out and run yourself. Going against my, what I think about now, Scott knows me well. But I was talking about the fire station. I guess I wasn't paying a good amount of attention to it. I thought it was a non-binding vote. I've talked to a lot of people, and they've said the same thing. They thought it was a non-binding vote, and I'm finding out different now that it was basically a debit exclusion vote, that it was basically a vote to spend the 27 million to build the fire station. I always thought everything had to go be a 2.5 override. I didn't obviously understand form of government the way things run, where a 2.5 is a permanent thing, where a debit exclusion is just until that one thing is paid off. So I was just up here to say, let people know that our taxes are going to be going up, because it wasn't a non-binding vote. It was a vote to build the fire station for 26 or 27 million dollars. So our taxes are going to be going up. I also have another thing later on. I found out it's about the dump, and it's on the agenda later, so I'll have to hold off on that. And that's all I have to say right now about the fire station. I know we need it, but it's a lot of money. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Kevin Buxton, 149 Everett Street. It's kind of appropriate, the chairman's announcements tonight involved recruiting folks to participate in our boards and committees. A quick rundown of mine would be 1995-96, I was on the recycling committee, or participated with the recycling committee when we had recycling at the landfill. It wasn't until probably 2000 that I got involved in some of the trail work in town. 2007, I was involved with site assignments, of course. I was the one and only sole citizen allowed to speak at the site assignment. After I spoke, they made 10-member groups. Presently, in the near past, I was on a sustainability committee for the Board of Health, landfill oversight for the Board of Health, and I rejoined the Trail Committee after COVID. It's always been an enjoyment, a break out of the normal to come in and work with great people here in the town hall, the personnel, and on committees where we're really trying to make Southbridge a more enjoyable place. Last week, I started to have a little thought that the next year coming with the upcoming curbside issue, that I think the council could use a little additional help. It's the 11th hour, but I drew my papers this morning for town council. I know I have a quick deadline to make, and so all I'll say is I'll be at the back door of Elm Center tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock. After that, you'll find me down by the bus stop and library. Please, if you see my shirt, if you see my sign, I need signatures. I'm down to close to 20 hours left, and of course, I'm not going to be collecting signatures all night long. I look forward to meeting some folks, getting some more signatures, and hopefully having a successful campaign that will put me on the council. Thank you very much.
Very good. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council this evening on an issue not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 9. Move to approve the amendments to the charter as proposed by the Charter Committee with the revisions recommended by the Town Council, all as set forth in the document distributed tonight, and authorize the chair to submit the same to the General Court as a home rule petition in the form below, provided, however, that the changes to the charter concerning a new proposed section 425 shall be presented to the voters for acceptance at the next annual election occurring 35 days after the effective date of the act, or at a special election and further, to authorize the general court to make changes of form only to such petition unless first approved by the town council, and to confirm that the council may approve such changes as are within the public purposes of the petitions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Discussion. Councilor Rivas.
I noticed in section 424 that the word alone was still in that section. And as I recall, in our December 19th meeting, by a vote of 4-3, that word was struck from, was amended. That was the one that was connected to the DPW, yeah, titles and positions.
Okay. You're right, we'll correct that. We'll correct
Thank you.
that. Okay, anyone else?
So, yeah, I do have something.
Councilor Adams.
Since we're on this motion, just real quick, I just want the people to understand this right here is going to go up on the ballot 425, just so you know. I will caution that though I'll be voting in favor because I believe it should go to the residents to vote on this, it will limit those individuals that try to come to town to become the town managers down the road. Though we put in a safeguard of some sense of a 2/3 vote that we can waive that right, the council can waive that right, and that's okay. But just understand, when we're looking for town managers in the near future, there's no getting away from what this is saying in the charter unless that town council states it down, changes it down the road. Just wanted to let the residents know, and again, it's up to the residents to make that decision on this one particular area of the charter, and we'll go from there. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. Just for clarification, if the vote were to fail at the poll for this, all of these other changes would still go through tonight?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Roll call, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Okay, there being no further discussion, roll call, please, Sue.
Sorry. Counselor, Chair Daniel.
Yes.
Counselor Dow.
Yes.
Counselor Lazo.
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti, Counselor Montigny.
Yes.
Counselor Rivas.
Yes.
Counselor Ryan.
Yes.
Counselor Adams.
Yes.
7 in favor, none against, the motion passes. Very good. Item number 10, vote to approve the following gifts from the Veterans Council of Southbridge to be solely used at the World War Memorial Park as part of the Southbridge Veterans Monuments Initiative.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the donations include a 25-foot fiberglass flagpole, 3 concrete ADA-compliant picnic tables, 2 7-foot benches, and 2 12-foot solar lamp posts. We have a motion by Councilor Lazo and seconded by, who was it? Councilor Dow? Very good.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Abstain, I'll abstain,
You're
Mr. Chair,
abstaining?
yes.
I'm sorry. 601, Councilor Adams abstaining. Do you need to see me? Or are we all
Excuse
set?
me? No,
I'm
all set.
I'm just speaking with, are we all set?
Me? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
We're good, thanks.
All right.
Well, I just want to make sure you voted in favor. Okay, your
Yes.
hand was just up a little late. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Item number 11, Vote to discontinue maintenance and abandon Morton Street as a public way to allow use of property for a new fire station.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 12, vote to approve the local historic district study committee to spend up to $16,000 for supplies and services related to designing and constructing a downtown historic walking tour before June 30, 2023, using $8,000 from Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism MOT grant and $8,000 in matching funds donated to the town, and to authorize the town manager to sign any related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Adams.
It's 13. Oh, sorry about that. Trying to do 10 things at one time. My apologies. So this was at the P&D, voting unanimously for it. Obviously, this MOT grant that that Ms. Dean had applied for, receiving the $8,000 and then matching donations. I do not have the list of those that donated on me right now, but I believe one was Hyde. Is Ms. Dean there? Oh, it was Mr. Brady.
I can go over the donators. We had some generous donations from the Southbridge Historical Society, the Claire Burtz Foundation, Hyde Tool, and the Trafoni Family Trust. The total amount of donations to the town were $10,750.
I just want to mention that Mr. Brady gave an outstanding brief to us and gave us the entire track system of how it's going to work, and we're looking forward to this downtown historical walk. But it's going to be all over the central core area. He can give obviously a better description than I can, but I just want to say to Ms. Dean and Mr. Brady, thank you for all of the hard work you did, the volunteerism that you provided, and the fact that the historical information in your brain to educate some of us. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 13, vote to approve $150,000 in ARPA funds for the Renaissance Medical Group RMG Primary Care Plan proposal, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Adams.
I think this was a 2-to-1 vote at the ARPA meeting. Let me get my notes here. So I believe this was a 2-to-1 vote in favor of moving it forward to the town council. I want to, so this $150,000, this is part of something that you heard me talk about a few months ago with the Family Health Center of Worcester shutting its doors on the town of Southbridge. I was very adamant that we've reached out to federal agencies, we reached out to the state, and to be honest with you, the federal agencies gave us some support, but it really has been left up to the town of Southbridge and RMG with some help from Harrington, but mostly from RMG. All I asked at that point in time when we found out we weren't going to receive any other help and the state was going to support the Family Health Center of Worcester, provide some type of guidance, some type of forgiveness in certain loans or extend out those loans, and Southbridge was left empty and holding the bag. I give it to Renaissance Medical Group, Mr. Suarez, City Councilwoman Dr. Rivera. So I want to say thank you to you and your team for bringing this forward. Family Health Center of Worcester really left us holding the bag with a lot of individuals who no longer had insurance and carrying, being able to go from here to Worcester. Used to go right downtown and take care of their business, but that was no more. So again, the charge was, how do we come up with a plan of our own? And you know, it showed that Southbridge and its business partners, you know, really came through with this request from Renaissance Medical Group. They did an outstanding job providing us a good detailed plan on how they were going to work it. Obviously, we don't hand over a $150,000 check and say, wish you the best of luck, let us know how it goes in a couple of years before we have to turn it over to the feds. there is a process through our ARPA administrator that has to be federal guidelines. So it's always watched, it's always taken care of, like any other project that we have accepted here in the town of Southbridge when it came to ARPA. So it's constantly looked at and responded upon, and I believe Abby has done an outstanding job, and she was a great hire for our town when it came to this. I'm a little biased at this point in time because I think, still a little hot under the collar that an entity that's received over $12 million couldn't support our small little town and didn't provide the proper rides to physicians and take care of our nursing staffs, those individuals that were taking care of our patients and our residents of Southbridge. Many of you know this is a walking town, and you just can't leave them bare bone and nothing and then say, hey, we're going to come up with an idea because you've been caught. So I would say this, I know Councilor Rivas is on the steering committee. I asked her the other day, how many meetings have we had to have this conversation with Family Health Center? I will say this, we haven't heard anything from them since our previous town manager has left. So yeah, I'm calling them out, but at the same time, Renaissance Medical Group did an outstanding job with the brief and providing us the detailed information that we needed to help support those residents in most need for health care within our town. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I'm proud to support this tonight because this is going to go towards supporting a good organization. RMG has been providing much-needed medical services to a huge portion of our community that desperately needed it. And this is an opportunity for them to continue to expand those services and provide more support for Southbridge families in a time where, as Councilor Adams outlined, is really needed with the pulling out of the Family Health Center. So I'm so thankful they're willing to take on the endeavor. I'm so happy Sarah is here and everybody from the group, from the company is here. I'm so happy that you're doing this and thankful, and I'm excited to see what great things continue to come out of RMG. So thank you.
Councilor Rivas. I'm sorry. Yes, Councilor Rivas.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Again, just like the previous speakers have said, RMG has stepped up to help our community. This is a local-run business that saw a need in our community and stepped up to fill that need and help our residents who have been struggling since Family Health Center decided to kind of pack up an office that, recently, and if, I don't have confirmation that the office in Southbridge was not losing money. And that's even more egregious if that is true. And so, RMG has done an incredible job of participating with other community agencies and really stepping up and whatever is needed, right? So I get text messages about clients that might need other services and coordinating services. And all of their staff has been attentive to our residents and the residents in our community. It is, and again, as Councilor Adams said, this is a walking community. It makes no sense to think that our residents can just pick up and head to Worcester every other day for appointments. That doesn't make any sense. We really need to provide these services for our community members who have all kinds of obstacles to try to get medical care, adult day care, all kinds of services that they are getting in this one-stop shop way at RMG. And I thank you both.
Councilor Lazo.
Kudos to the ARPA committee. I've always been a big advocate of the ARPA money going to infrastructure, where we get, if we repair a roof, if we repair a road, that we get 30 years out of the ARPA money. But we are a service-based community. When the Registry of Motor Vehicles was going to move out of town, the Southbridge Town Council stepped up to the plate, town manager, and put a full court press. We put money into that building to provide a service for the community and the surrounding towns, but mostly Southbridge. Here was a situation where we have healthcare services. Everybody knows that Harrington isn't what it used to be. And then we lost the Family Services office. on Orchard Street. I think the councilors were all dissatisfied with that action. And I think the arrogance of not really responding to us properly probably angered some of the people. So I'm supporting this tonight as another public service to the town of Southbridge. It's good for the people of Southbridge, then I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors?
Just one last thing.
Councilor Adams.
Just want a point of clarification, it was a 3-0 vote, so it was unanimous of everybody there. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Shania.
Thank you. George Shenya, Teresa Ave, Southbridge. I want to thank council tonight for coming, and it looks like it's going to be hopefully a unanimous decision to support this organization. When Family Health Services, as Councilor Adams has told us right along in these last few months, when they left 1,600 people without medical services here in the community, in the tri-community area. The gentleman came here to a meeting and explained how they were going to make up for the loss of the facility here in Southbridge by providing rides and appointments. What he failed to tell you was that they get a ride in the morning and they're lucky to get a ride home in the afternoon, and that their appointment is like 10 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes they're not seen till 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so the people aren't using that. For me, I have great insurance. I don't run into the problems that a lot of the people have, but we have a community of low-income people, poor people, and elderly. And I live in an elderly neighborhood that people struggle every single day. So this is a great opportunity for the town of Southbridge to be able to help a group like RMG and provide some health services, both for medically and mental health. This is something that is greatly needed, and I commend the organization for coming forward and trying to help out. If people would have followed through the meeting, RMG is going to lose a great deal of money in primary care here in Southbridge, but he's still moving forward to make a medical facility for the needy work. We have all these express medical facilities popping up all over the community and the county. But what they fail to tell you is that when you go there, if you're on Mass Health, they send you to the emergency room. If you don't have insurance, they send you to the emergency room. So the express medical facilities that are popping up through our tri-community is for people with really good insurance, so they don't have to go to the emergency room and sit there. So again, I want to thank the councilors for supporting this tonight, and I look forward to working and seeing RMG help our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, identify yourself.
Yes.
Dr. Sarai Rivera. I am the Director of Community and Governmental Affairs for Renaissance Medical Group. And I just want to say, I just really want to appreciate the opportunity to have been presented. As we looked at during the COVID epidemic, we had a lot of conversation regarding health equity and access. And for many of us who've been in the health field, it almost seemed like we were having a deja vu for many of us who worked during the HIV and AIDS epidemic. It was almost the same kind of conversation. It was really heart-wrenching to see the Family Health Center leave. And it was very easy for us. We have various companies within RMG, and we have this what's called 360 model. It was easy for us to just continue to what we have and continue to do business as usual. But we have a CEO who's present here today, Mr. Suarez, who's homegrown from here, from Southbridge. And his heart is here. And he stepped up to the plate. And he said, this is a need that we have for our community. Anyone who knows regarding healthcare understands that primary is not a moneymaker. So from a business perspective, we also are a for-profit company, so we are a tax base for this community. But understanding that this would be seed money to be able to assist us to be able to start forth and be able to go forth and be able to start our primary and be able to provide equitable access healthcare to all residents here in Southbridge to be able to come. Along with that comes other supportive services within our community, within our kind of healthcare facility. So being able to provide other necessary, whether it's behavioral or whether it's servicing for home care or whether it's pharmacy, which we delivered even prior to the pandemic. So our goal, we want to continue to be embedded in this community. We also hire local. I'm probably in the very few, probably one of only 3 in the entire company that's not from Southbridge. And that's actually always a joke in the community because everybody knows everyone here and only like 3 of us are on the ousted all the time. But he's very committed to hiring local, serving local, and being here and serving in the community. If there's a need, whether it's Autumn Fest or whether it's looking at the wellness fair that's coming up in June, RMG has been very present. How do we we're meeting with the school department for the last few months to be able to say, how can we be helpful? How can we work together? What can we do? What can we provide? And so that's the motto. If you ever talk to Mr. Suarez, you know that his is about serving with love and with his whole heart. So we are committed, although we are committed to be able to serve this community. It is unfortunate what happened at Family Health Center, but from what I've learned in my time in working with Southbridge, which is about 5 years now, is that you all don't back down. And when the going gets tough, you all just roll up your sleeves and keep it moving. So we're just joining the culture of Southbridge and rolling up our sleeves and keeping it moving. There's a need, and RMG is saying, it may not be the money maker, but it's what we need. And so we appreciate this seed money in order to be able to move forward as for the needs of this town and for the residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Adams?
Just to Soraya, thank you. I believe it was a Saturday when I got a text message from you, and that started the ball rolling. And here we are today. So thank you again for all you've done for our community.
Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the previous 2 speakers, to Mr. Shenya for giving a sentiment on how the citizens feel. I think it was well said. And for Dr. Rivera for shining some light on a couple of things. First of all, that RMG does create tax money for Southbridge, which is an excellent thing. And then the second is Mr. Suarez being homegrown from Southbridge. I think Mr. Suarez is one of Southbridge's greatest success stories right now. And as soon as Family Health came in here, and I think someone else here said disgusted us with their presentation, it made me think right away of how can we help RMG to move forward and pick up some of this slack. And I only can hope that from this, the company can continue to grow and service more people in our area and more people in these situations, unfortunately. But thank you very much to the ARPA committee and everybody involved, and hopefully this council for what I hope is a unanimous vote for this. It's going towards good causes and for Southbridge people. So thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Very well. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Congratulations.
Item number 14, vote to approve $6,000 in ARPA funds for the Wellstorm Incorporated Bridge Fridge, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These 2 young ladies are familiar to us as they came to us last year asking to support the Bridge Fridge, who also the Renaissance Medical Group has in their facility as a refrigerator and a storage area for food, obviously for food securities and of the local populace. They came back. We did ask them to come back as well and just have a conversation with us, and we recommended the $6,000. I do know that they had requested a little bit more than that, and we do really appreciate it. All we can say is no, right? So not recommended, but I will tell you this. One thing that we did talk about is as some of that ARPA money rolls back in, maybe we take a look at them. I've kept it on my spreadsheet to follow up with all those individuals who have requested some funds, but unfortunately at that time, we had to make some hard choices on where we're going to spend those funds as well. But I've heard it's a big success over there. It looks great. I know it took you guys a long time to start this process, to get it open. I think it was a phone call going, yeah, we're still not open. I think it was a year later. I can't believe a Bridge Fridge takes a year to open up. But I guess it's one of those things where I guess we just didn't know. But we just want to thank you for your dedication, from myself and all the hard work that you've done in supporting our residents here, and then the fact that you're also with another organization that that has done really well for our community. So thank you. And it was unanimous.
Very good. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I just want to say thank you to you two for what you're doing here. Food insecurity right now, when inflation is super high, is a big problem, especially for families. And this is an opportunity to help support our families. I'm happy that, because you guys applied for, as Councilor Adams mentioned, a larger amount first time. I'm happy that we're at least giving you another bucket of funds to help put more into this bridge fridge and help fight back against the food insecurity that some families are facing right now. So thank you too for your efforts in this. It's deeply appreciated by a lot of people in this community.
Councilor Rivas.
Thank you, through you, Chair. What can I say? Thank you so much for, again, for your persistence, because other people, with all of the obstacles that, that you had before you, would have given up. And our residents, thank you for not giving up. It is also a learning process for us as leaders in our community to make sure that when there is a need and there are people in our community that are residents that are stepping up to provide a service, that we work together with you and not create more obstacles for something that is going to service the very, very prominent needs in our community. All around our county, rural areas do not have a lot of access, and we're very lucky to have the bridge fridge in Southbridge. And RMG, I credit you for having the foresight to know that this was an important thing to put an effort into support, and everyone that was involved in supporting, putting it together and creating the fridge. I know that there were local business people that came and supported, not only with donations, but also like time and volunteering and carpentry and all of those pieces that came together with a community effort. And that shows, your commitment to this issue and to our community. And so I appreciate that. And thank you, ARPA committee, for finally giving them the rest of the money.
You'll be okay.
I told you so. But no, I really appreciate all of your effort and your perseverance. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
I'd just like to thank the two ladies in front of us today. Job well done. My advice to you to get more money is put more pressure. He does melt. Thank you.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, for you. I want to say thank you for Mr. Soros. A few years back, that company was in Worcester, and he worked so hard to move it to his home. I call him Southbridge home because he grew up here. He loved this town. And for the service he provides for his friend, for his family, his community, and he's working more hard and trying to provide more service for the community because he know the home needed. We're glad he come home. He didn't still serve other communities. So we're lucky we have him here. And ARBA, whatever we can get money for them, continue. Please, now, next year, the futures, they're doing a great job. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 15, vote to approve $4,515.98 in ARPA funds for the Health Inspectors Department printer, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Montigny. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was a 3-0 vote at the ARPA meeting. Danny come out and advocated for his team, obviously, and one of the areas that we kind of fail to do sometimes is pay attention to HIPAA laws and a few other things. And one of the areas in which he really pushed for was this laser printer that the town would purchase. And, obviously it would belong to the health department where it's sorely needed over there. I would say other departments need it as well. But that being said, It was fully supported. I thank him for giving us a quick, very fast rundown as we ran out of time that day, as there's a lot of requests, just not enough time or funds. But I appreciate what you've done for that department and what you're doing today. Thank you.
Anyone? Discussion. Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. I think I may have said this once or twice here. My first meeting with the health inspector, one of his main concerns was a printer, among a couple other things. So I appreciate the ARPA committee stepping up to fund that. Thank you.
Council Lazo.
Just a quick comment on the health inspector. ARPA money well used, but just a comment that it's a breath of fresh air in Southbridge when you have a health inspector that treats the citizenry like his own, and he takes ownership to the community that he works in. I think the job that he's been doing in a short time he's been here, I've got to give him an attaboy tonight. When you go around town as a councilor, you always hear some negatives, and then you hear the positives. I have not heard one negative about this health inspector since he landed. The businesses, even when he delivers bad news, he delivers it in a way that they say thank you and they straighten the problem out. Keep up the good work. I think your approach is what we needed. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Motion passes. Item number 16, vote to approve $20,000 in ARPA funds for the Health Inspector's Department PPE and field equipment, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA
So
administrator.
moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was unanimous as well. $20,000, $10,000 for PPE gear, and some $10,000 for field equipment, which is something that they probably have always needed. And just because COVID is gone doesn't mean a lot of problems are leaving as well. So obviously, this is a big supporter for the individuals that will go out to the field per se and take care of some of the businesses, the unfriendly businesses that they have to deal with. I just say so. I highly support this, and it was again unanimous. And thank you, Dan, again for pushing this up quickly.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Motion passes. Item number 17, vote to approve $50,000 in ARPA funds for the Economic Department's business grant, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Rivas. Councilor Adams.
I just want a point of clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that last motion. It was a 2-to-1 vote. This one, though, is a 3-to-0 vote with the ARPA. It's been very successful so far. We have, most of you councilors already know we gave $250,000 of ARPA money for economic 0% loan grants. So Ms. Dean and her team down there did a lot of legwork on the legal side to make sure this is going smoothly, properly, and legally. So at this point in time, right now, tonight we have, I believe it is, we're down to, I think it's $50,000 of the original $200,000. So what, originally we asked for $100,000, but we compromised for $50,000. If the town wants to change that up to 100, that's really up to you guys. But right now, that gives that economic department downstairs about 100,000. Just so you know, $85,000 was for a sprinkler system. The other one, obviously, is for another sprinkler system over there on Main Street by the old Southbridge Credit Union building, so they can start working on that as well. If you haven't noticed, I posted on Facebook the other day about our new restaurant that is coming into town here in a month or two. The reason why they did is because we were able to give them that loan and get the sprinkler system up and running. So it's done. And they're moving quick and furious pace over there, so it's great to see, and we hope that Main Street does the same thing. Give another $50,000, gives her about $100,000 to work with. But I'm not, I'll tell you if I'm biased, I give $100,000, but we compromise the 50. Because the projects are really helping out these businesses and these buildings that were not moving. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
Again, kudos to ARPA and the Economic Development crew downstairs. The one thing that I do agree on when it comes to the ARPA money is seed money. There are towns that have incubation periods for businesses where you grow the business. We're very fortunate to have the ARPA money that we do have, and the way they're utilizing it is very creative as seed money to help these businesses off the ground, get these buildings done, get them opened up. I think you're going to see more storefronts full, and I think it's going to work out very well, and kudos to the ARPA committee on this one. Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Motion passes. Item number 18, vote to approve $50,000 in ARPA funds for the pay study of town positions, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was a 2-to-1 vote in favor of bringing it to ARPA for the $50,000. I asked the interim town manager and our HR department to come in and have a conversation with us about how this goes. Obviously, I'm not going to hit every single point. I'm sure the town manager has a few pointers he could give, but obviously this is something that, one thing that I had asked our HR department when she first got here, are we equivalent to other towns around us, like us, and stuff like that when we pay our staff? And, you know, there had been some work that needed to be done before she could give a proper answer. This study itself, or the use of this study, would actually mirror that, what we have been requesting, to make sure that we are properly paying our town staff the equivalent amount. That does not mean, I'll explain again, does not mean, let's just say a job's at $25,000, all of a sudden the study comes back at $50,000. That does not mean that extra $25,000 automatically goes over to that position, not person, position. Nor does it mean that you reduce it as well if it goes to $20,000. So I wanted to make that very clear to the council and the residents out there. There was a lot of conversation to be had about this as far as helping out and working through the little widgets that maybe we just don't see. 30 years ago, you could have had a staff member do this. Absolutely. I agree with that. 40 years ago, you know, HR has changed. So I just want to make that clear. HR is a big entity of any type of business in town, whereas 40 years ago, it was not. So when you sit there and you take a look at it now, today's day and age has changed. We go get legal advices for other things that we used to just be able to shake a hand at and take care of the problem at that point in time. Today is not that day and age. And I respect all the comments that will come forth, but I do recommend this. We'll take a look at it. They'd have to go out for quotes for this and see how much it would, but under the interim town manager, Mr. Blanchard, who does an outstanding job on every aspect, has made it very clear it's about that range front. And I'll open the floor to Mr. Blanchard, or unless there's other questions. So if he wanted to make any comments that I may have missed.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd be happy to. You know, in addition to really the wage component of it, part of it is certainly to find out that we are paying competitive wages with other communities, you know, similar to us. But a big part of it as well is the classification study, to make sure that our positions are properly evaluated and within the range of grades from the lowest grade to the highest grade throughout the town, that they're fairly representative of the responsibilities and the qualifications required for each position. So that's really, you know, the big component of getting an outside consultant to do that, to be able to make sure that our, you know, positions are properly defined. We know the responsibilities. We know where they stand within the classification range of the town. And I believe it's been many years since the town has done a wage and classification study.
Very good. Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, through you. As Councilor Adams say, we have to see the town around us and compare the wage. I mean, this is Southbridge. I don't think we're doing anything wrong, regardless what we have already for a wage for our employee. And the $50,000, we can give it to somebody need it, help somebody need it, businesses to grow the community, different organization provide some help for the citizen. We keep blowing money for study and different thing and wasting money, and we're not getting nowhere. We study everything we're spending money on a lot of studies. I don't want to name them specific, and we're not getting nowhere. So we're wasting money. I think the residents more needed from just wasting money on a company study, $50,000. That's a lot of money, and I think we're doing great with the wage for our employee. Thank you.
Very good. Council Lazo.
If I may disagree with my good friend, Councilor Adams, we have a difference of opinion on this one. I would have taken this $50,000 and gave it to the bridge fridge, where it's a direct service to needy people, or up the other number for our services at RGM or some other reason. When I was on school committee, and I know everybody said I'm a dinosaur, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, the problem is bureaucracies build. We build big government, and if we allow it to continue to build, more studies, the study goes on the shelf. We don't have the money to give raises. They said it should be a little more, a little less, whatever. To me, the study should have been done in-house. We have a whole HR department. You can't call the Mass Municipal Association and get all the salaries across the state for comparable towns that are populated like Southbridge. When we did studies on school side, and my good friend Mr. Jovian knows this well, we used to do a study and we used to do it in-house. We'd get the salaries of all comparable towns for teachers, associates, nurses, administrators, and we would get them, and it would be comparable to a town like Webster, a similar demographic, a similar population, in a similar structure of a school district. We didn't need a consultant to tell me that if we're competing, who are we competing against? We could never compete against a regional school like Tantascwa. It was differently structured. It had a different income bracket in the town. We were different, and that's okay to be different. But on this one here, I'm going to be voting no on it because I've got a tremendous amount of experience in this field of doing these studies and seeing these studies over the 39 years I've been involved in government off and on. So I sit here tonight and I say, we give that to the bridge fridge. Give that to RGM. Fix a roof. Let's use it where it utilizes it for the people of Southbridge. A salary study is not going to help the taxpayers. It's not going to help the citizens of Southbridge. I don't see it. I understand what it does, but I just can't go with it here tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Rivas.
Well, I do appreciate Councilor Lazo supporting the bridge fridge now. I do remember in December that I had requested for this council to give them the $12,000, and most councilors did not vote for that. So I think that, if we want to support programs, then we have to do that when the opportunity arises. And I don't see how we would, kind of put these two issues together. I do think that it is important in our town when we want to attract, we want to be competitive with other communities, and it is very difficult for HR to, there is a lot of work to do in our community, in our town, within HR, and our interim town manager and our HR director are doing that. I do agree with Councilor Adams that we do need to explore and find out about the classifications, and we have been spreading the ARPA money around. I give credit to the ARPA committee. They've done a great job in identifying different levels of need. This is an area of need in our community if we want to be competitive, and we need to see where we're at among the other communities.
Roll call, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Shenya?
Yes, thank you. George Shenya, Teresa Ave. I find that the money being used from HAPA for a salary study is a difficult decision to make about counselors. What I would like to suggest that maybe council could consider for further discussion later on is to table this particular motion, bring it to council, and to see if there's a subject matter that from Nichols College, an intern student that could come here and do that type of salary schedule. Now, I went to the meeting when they talked about the salary schedule, and I understand, if I remember correctly, they said the last salary schedule study done here was 5 years ago. Again, I don't know if it was that, the acting town manager mentioned 10 years. But there's resources out there that could be utilized, like Nichols College or some community college where a student would probably really dive into this thing and do a good study and to see what would be best. Every time HR has come to the podium here to recommend a position, they've always said that our salary schedule is compatible on the research that they've done. The benefits that we offer is within reason. So to move forward this, what I would suggest, again, table this particular thing, have a discussion in general gov maybe to see if it's worthwhile to have a college intern come in and do a good study. It would give them a good study subject, and it would help the community out. And then maybe we could redirect the $50,000 to something that is going to benefit the taxpayers of the community, the ones that paying that bill. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Montigny.
Thank you again, Mr. Shenyer. I didn't even think of that. Nichols College is where I graduated from. I'm sure you could get someone there to do a study. But point blank, $50,000 is way too much money to be spending on this issue. I mean, we talk about, Councilor Dow said there's a lot of other studies we're doing, and they're just not this expensive, not for a project so tiny as trying to figure out the salaries. Even if I was in support of the study, it's extremely expensive and overpriced, so I won't be supporting this either. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, respond to previous speakers about some councilor didn't support the bridge. It wasn't not support. It was we want to give them half to see what far they can go, and then we will release the rest and we'll give them more. Nobody refused to help the community. $50,000. I think we can feed people and help people in this town and community better than spend them on studies. I think we overstaff in this town. We have a lot of extra employee we don't need. If we are below budget or below wage, I don't think people will come here to be hired. I don't see any problem with our wage. We're overstaffed. We pay more than what we're supposed to pay. We hire more people what we need, and now we're gonna take $50,000 from our community, from our residents to give it to some study company. They don't either care. They're just gonna give you numbers, and that study is gonna sit on the shelf, like Councilor Lazo say. Probably we don't have the money to raise. Probably we don't. Just wasting money. I think the residents more important to have that $50,000. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
I think what we have to keep, I'm using issues in front of me like the bridge fridge, but I'm not necessarily saying like there are so many other things that impact people in Southbridge. You know, we're going to be cutting something at the fire department, something at the, you know, I mean, different equipment, the elderly center, the kitchen. I mean, there's so much in Southbridge that it could be used on. And the last thing which would get to the people, it's the taxpayers' money. So for me, it's a hard sell for me. It's a stone in my shoe as far as studies. I've been in it so long, I've seen so many studies done over the years, and nothing comes out of the study. And then if it does, you can't afford what the study said anyways. So what did you do? We spent $50,000. Well, when we get the money, we'll work on it, and then it goes on the shelf. So just keep that in mind. I'm just putting the taxpayer first. Thank you.
Councilor Adams.
Move the question.
Second.
Very good. Roll call vote.
Excuse me. Councilor Dow?
No.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
Councilor Rivas?
Move the question.
Oh, yes.
Excuse me, Counselor Rivas. Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
And Counselor Dow? Daniel, sorry, wrong D.
You got a
So
second
wrong-
chance.
so
I
wrong
got a
D on the little thing.
I think I need to check the open meeting law on that one. That's not. I don't think that's
I have two Ds and two M's next to
Please
each
make
other.
sure you count him as a no.
I say no, I thought we vote on the question, but we moved it.
Daniel.
It's fine.
The question is moved. So we have a motion on the floor to approve $50,000 in ARPA funds for the pay study of town positions, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's ARPA administrator. Roll call vote, please, on the motion.
Oh, you guys are killing me tonight. Excuse me. Counselor Lazo?
No.
Counselor Marquetti? Montigny?
No.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Adams?
Yes.
Chair Daniel?
Yes.
And Counselor Dow?
No.
Motion passes 4-3. Item number 19, vote to accept the reimbursement in the amount of...
Mr. Chair.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't mean to jump. Just want to let you know that ARPA, as far as the spending, we have about $380,000 left, at which point in time we decided to hold off on any other spending of the ARPA funds until we kind of have an idea of the curbside trash collection. And right now, we have 92% of the ARPA money earmarked and about 8% that's still open up. So that's where we're at right now. Thank you.
Very good. Item number 19, vote to accept the reimbursement in the amount of $162,654.62 as reported in the Ambulance Certified Public Expenditure Reimbursement Program, CPE, fiscal year 22 report, and authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Lazo.
The recommendation is favorable.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 20, vote to approve a fire department transfer for $800 from account number 001-220-546000, Buildings and Grounds, Materials, to account number 001-220-530000, Specialized Services, to cover costs for the remainder of fiscal year 23.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Lazo. Councilor Lazo.
The recommendation of subcommittee was unanimous for transfer.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 21, vote to approve a fire department transfer for $400 from account number 001-220-546000, Buildings and Grounds Materials, to account number 001-220-545000, Janitorial Housekeeping, to cover rising costs for janitorial supplies for the remainder of fiscal year 23.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Lazo.
The motion at subcommittee was unanimous, favorable.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 22, vote to approve a fire department transfer for $125 from account number 001-220-546000, Building and Grounds Materials, to account number 001-220-544000, Copier Leases and Maintenance Contracts, to cover costs for copier lease contract for the remainder of fiscal year 23.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Lazo.
The recommendation was favorable.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 23. Vote to approve a water transfer for $45,000 from account number 610450-583000-91250, Water Capital Reserve, to account number 610-450-583-000-23580, Water Capital Systems, to pay for unexpected emergency repairs at two separate emergency power generators and to cover large stock purchases for the remainder of the fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow. Councilor Dow?
Was vote in the moment.
This motion was approved unanimously, I believe? Right, recommended unanimously. Very good. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 24, vote to approve a DPW transfer for a total of $4,000 from account number 001-499-521-000-0499 electricity DPW operations $3,000 to account number 001-499-521-000-0431 electricity traffic and school lights, and $600 to account number 001-499-521-000-001 electricity various locations to cover National Grid and solar invoices through the end of the fiscal year until solar credits are redistributed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. I believe that this was also recommended unanimously. Councilor Ryan.
Just a point of clarification, when you were reading the agenda item, Mr. Chair, you said 3,000 instead of 3,400.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected and stipulate that the number is 3,400. Thank you.
3,000. Agenda item.
There's a problem there. Yeah, well, 24. All right, it's a $4,000 transfer. All right, we have a problem. We're going to have to postpone this one. Well, it's a $4,000 transfer. Is it 34? No.
It still adds up to 4,000.
I swear.
Yeah, it just
But you just forgot to say 400. That's all.
Okay, my mistake. We're all set. It's all good. Wow. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 25, vote to approve a DPW transfer for $3,100 from account number 001-499-521-000-0425 Electricity Town Hall to account number 001-499-521-0431 Electricity, Traffic, and School Lights to cover National Grid and solar invoices through the end of the fiscal year until solar credits are redistributed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Rivas.
That was an unanimous vote too as well.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Councilor Dow. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. That's a 6-0 vote. Councilor Lazo has left the dais for a moment. Item number 26, vote to approve a DPW transfer for $500 from account number 001-499-548000 motor vehicle parts and accessories to account number 001-499-558700 parts and non-vehicular accessories to fund needed small equipment purchases.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow.
That was an unanimous vote too.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. That's a 7-0 vote. Item number 27. Vote to approve a DPW transfer for $2,000 from account number 001-499-530000 Specialized Services to account number 001-499-533100 Maintenance on Trees to fund tree maintenance for the remainder of the fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow.
That was an unanimous vote too.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 28, vote to approve a DPW transfer for $400 from account number 001-499-514100 Longevity to account number 001-499-569000, licenses, permits, and taxes to cover additional expenses for new hires.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Dow.
That was approved too.
We're on 28.
28.
28?
28, yeah.
28. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 29, vote to accept the recommendation of the Ad hoc Trash Committee and move forward with a flat fee and creation of an enterprise fund.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Any discussion? Councilors? Sir?
William Cody, 243 Everett Street.
Please
lifelong
pull the,
resident-
yeah.
Lifelong resident of Southbridge. I myself own a bunch of apartment houses, and I would like to see a not pay-as-you-go system. I had it written down, the flat fee, one I would like to see. You know, as a landlord, I'd be paying a lot more for my apartments and stuff. But if we went with pay-as-you-go, this town would become a trash bowl. People don't, I mean, when I was a kid, I'd go outside and pick up around my yard and stuff, you know, and I lived in a three-family. Asked my tenants to pick up around the place, well, it wasn't our trash. Yeah, but you live here, it's a reflection on how you live and where you live. The town's not like it used to be. So I'm very much against the pay-as-you-go system. You know, I'll pay the extra with my apartments. I don't want to see South become a trash bowl. Trash is free right now as it is, and it's still trash everywhere. So I hope you guys do not vote as pay-as-you-go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to the committee, I want to thank you guys for all the hard work you did and all the sacrifices and evenings that you had discussions. And usually those meetings were like 2 hours. And, you know, we just thank you as residents that you did this and stepped up. You know, back in 2019, we started an ad hoc committee. It got where we needed to get. But this put us over the edge. And I do appreciate all what you guys have done as far as selecting what you recommending what you recommended. I am in favor of the flat fee as well. The pay-as-you-throw, I know, was sold and sold and sold, but the fact is, do the real studies and look at the real issues at hand. Those bags aren't going to cut it for this town when they don't cut it for Worcester. I just want to thank all of you, and I think at this point in time, this allows us, if we vote this evening, allows the town staff to move forward with what they need to move forward with, and we'll get those enterprise funds started up and, motions and agenda items here in the future for the town. But it's finally coming to an end in 2024 of March. So people need to educate themselves. I know the town will educate themselves. The town staff will educate the populace. And I know they'll do a great job under the leadership of Dan over there and quite a few other individuals, and Anna and all the hard work she had done. So I'm in complete favor of this enterprise fund. As I promised Councilor Marchetti, I've already started discussions with our economic team about a transfer station. I was just waiting for the vote this evening, and so we can start moving along with this town. But again, I thank you guys for doing all the work and coming with your recommendation that you did, and I fully support what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Councilman Tigney.
Thank you very much. I know last week or whatever it was when Councilor Marchetti did his presentation, I did speak in favor of the bags, but after doing some due diligence, I will support the flat fee. I mean, when the bags were here at Show and Tell, those were terrible bags, in my opinion. And, I appreciate the citizens that have reached out, but I also did some research on the fact that there were people that said that the survey was confusing and misleading. And I feel like if people really understood the survey, it would have showed more citizen support for flat fee. And flat fee is the recommendation of the committee that has done hard work. But I wanted to leave you guys with a little bit of information. it showed, I believe it was $373 a year was the estimate, which is like $1 a day, 93 a quarter, 31 bucks a month, however you want to, cut it. But even if you opt out and that number gets a little higher, even 20% higher to something like $440. A citizen reached out to me this week and did their due diligence calling for private trash to see how much it would cost them, just a regular single-family home on Morris Street. I won't say the name of the local trash company, but it was $548 a year. So even if this 373 gets increased a little bit from people opting out, the people opting out are still going to be paying more than they would if they stayed with us. So it doesn't affect the taxes. Yes, it's another bill, but we get to keep something that's working good. I know the trash, we talk about it being a trash bowl, but we can always get better. It'll still be a time for us to educate the citizens of Southbridge on how to better use this next form of trash, which isn't all that different from what we have now. So I will be supporting this tonight. Thank you. For everybody, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for giving all your opinions. It's a tough one, but I'm finally very happy to say that this is going to be over tonight and open a new chapter for trash in Southbridge. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
I too was by the bag, and the more you look into it, the recommendation, the committee that did the work, you did a fine job. Very rarely do you see surveys done, and you did the survey. So I know one thing, they didn't want the tax rate hit under this, under any option. So moving forward, I'd just like to thank the committee, and I'd like to thank Chairman Daniels for putting it on the agenda tonight, because government has a tendency of, okay, we're going to next week, and as we say, we kicked it down the road, and 2024 is coming, and we kept saying that to each other, and then finally, everything came together, and I'm saying, let's not take the foot off the gas pedal. Let's keep it going. All right, we've got the direction. We're going to go flat feet. Now let's keep going, and let's get our homework done on the rest of it. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, thank you, committee, for choosing the flat fee by the unit. It wasn't fair to increase tax by property because, single family worth more money sometimes from 4 or 6 family and their income. So I think this is the choice you guys did is great, good for the residents, and I believe good for the investor in town, they're making money, and as well the residents or the elderly living here, it's fair for them to go by flat fee. Thank you.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I want to thank the committee for making this recommendation. I have also been somebody who had done a lot of research and had been proposing a pay-as-you-throw system, but this is the cheapest, one of the cheapest options we have to put out there to the people, and it gives them the option, if they don't like it, to go choose something they want. At the end of the day, I think this would require less education than, say, going to a pay-as-you-throw system, which would require a lot of intensive education, making sure people understood where to get the bags, how much the bags cost, what type of bags can be used, etc. I think this is going to be a lot easier to be able to communicate with people and actually get more buy-in and actually solve the problems we're facing. So I want to thank the ad hoc committee for doing this work. It's been a really long slog. We've been talking about it for 3 years since I've been up here, and we're finally getting the work done. And I appreciate the work of the subcommittee because it was sorely needed.
Councilor Eagles.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I want to thank the residents that reached out to me. This has been a really tough one, right? I was definitely one of the people that, was a proponent of the pay-as-you-throw, and I've listened to the presentations, and it was, basically because it does promote reducing trash, and that is really, a focus and thinking about our environment and thinking about our youth in the future, and not giving them an environment in a town that, that isn't, helping them prosper. And so, but I do respect the will of the residents and what the residents have talked to me about, and they do want the user fee. I know that everyone I've talked to agrees that they don't want their taxes increased, and I think that the committee has done an incredible job really working towards not increasing taxes on our citizens, and I appreciate all of the work and the research and the people that you brought in to talk about this topic. I do think that this shouldn't be the end of the conversation around reducing trash. I do think that we need to explore whether maybe it's not bags in the future, maybe it's some other way, but we do need to look at that. That is an important component of what we need to talk about as we move forward. So I will be supporting this tonight. Thank you so much.
Any other counselors? Very good.
Kevin Buxton, 149 Everett Street. This is one of the first times I ever had to undress, but I wanted to make sure I'm speaking as a member of the ad hoc committee. There are a lot of, I'm glad the council is expediting this aspect of our recommendations. There are many other aspects for curbside that we can look at in the future. I think whether it's through the Board of Health or through the council that we need to continue some kind of curbside improvement program to see what we could do further down, either bags or how do we improve the system, how do we try to increase landlords' participation in making sure their apartments are staying to within regulations. There's still a lot to go on. This morning, as a matter of fact, I had a talk with Anna about an aspect of curbside because she's in the process of talking with the RFP. But they're not at that point yet. I would really hope that we keep people involved. Whatever subcommittee is going to be discussing matters, please let citizens voice their opinions, continue to voice their opinions at these committee meetings. Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. Roll call.
Councilor Montigny.
Yes.
Councilor Rivas.
Yes.
Councilor Ryan.
Yes.
Councilor Adams.
Yes.
Chair Daniel.
Yes.
Councilor Dow.
Yes.
Councilor Lazo.
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes.
Job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 30, vote to place the following question on the ballot for the June 13th, 2023 town election as a non-binding question. The question shall read, shall the elected officials of the state of Massachusetts end the receivership of the Southbridge Public School District and return the control of the district to the town of Southbridge?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Lazo, second by Councilor Ryan. Councilor Lazo.
I would just like to present this question to the council and ask councilors to support getting the opinion of the community, the opinion of a seminar, not a seminar, but we had a auditorium full of people that had a heavy debate whether to go into receivership or not go into receivership. And the state said that it wanted to, they said, well, the pulse was that they wanted to go into receivership, which I disagree. This ballot question here will give us the opinion of the Southbridge people, and that's what we're looking for. Thank you.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. While I want to make clear I will be supporting this going to the ballot because I believe the voters have a right to make a decision, I do believe that the school committee should have been consulted a little bit more and gotten their buy-in a little bit more. They were all surprised when this all came up. There was no consideration, no discussion. And when we're talking about supporting our school committee and making sure they have a council that works with them, it's important that we actually work with them and include them in this work. So I'm going to support this because the voters have a right, but it's important that we be actually talking and speaking with the leadership of the school committee and not just excluding them, because that was one of the things cited was a disconnect between this board and the school committee. That was cited in why they took one of the reasons why they took us over. So I think if we're going to be talking about making sure that we're doing this as a collaborative team approach, we actually do so in the same way. So I will support this to go to the voters, and I do believe that we should end it, but I really thought that we should have gone and talked with the school committee first. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Council
To
Lazo.
the point of the previous speaker, the day the petitions were printed, I told the chairman of the Southbridge School Committee that we were putting them forward. I wanted to come in front of the meeting. Please contact me. And she said something about there was a budget meeting, and she didn't want to do it at the budget meeting. And then I sat and wait for her contact. So if she contacted me, I would have brought them up to the school committee and made a presentation. So I did contact the chairman, and I seemed to fall off after that point. So budget came into play, and everything was more important. Thank you.
Councilman Tigney.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a point of clarification that a member of the school committee came to my house and asked me for my signature personally for this petition. Thank you.
After the fact. After the fact.
Mr.
Thank
Jovan.
you, Mr. Chairman. John Jovan Jr., 80 Highland Street, Southbridge. Being on both sides of this question, I support us at least petitioning to get some state officials here. I would just respectfully possibly recommend an amendment to the language of this question. I don't know if that's because you had it the way it was on your petition, but it should really be, shall the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the receivership of the Southbridge Public Schools. Because it's not the elected officials of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's the Massachusetts Department of Education that had put us into receivership, and they really should receive the message from the voters of Southbridge that we wish to end the receivership. Thank you.
Jack, can you say that again, please?
I would recommend shall the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education end the receivership of the Southbridge Public School District and return control of the district to the town of Southbridge, because they are the governing board of the accountability standards.
Very good. Thank you.
Point of clarification, should we put the Board of Elementary? Because there is the DESE, and then there's
Yes.
BESE, which is
Well,
the
there's
board.
the accountability standards, so it's actually the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education oversees the accountability standards, and the Board of Education makes the determination, which is part of the Massachusetts Department of Education. So I would say that it would be you could simply say both, perhaps, say the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, perhaps have both for good measure, but it really should, it's not state elected officials, is my point. It should be that board itself that should be noticed.
Council Lazo, then Council Rivas.
Just a quick comment. Bonding with the school committee, I totally agree with the previous speaker. I would just like to recognize Mrs. Lapiori, who probably filled out, I don't know how many petitions. She's a member of the school committee, and she comes to the council meeting regularly. And when I contacted the chair and I talked to, she was at a meeting, and she just absolutely supported it. Probably the hardest working school committee member on this issue. And I welcome anybody. I mean, I'm not boxing anybody out or anything like that. I did usually you contact the leader and it trickles down, but maybe there's a communication problem at that level. Thank you.
Very good. Council Rivas.
Yes, I do think Mr. Jovan's suggestion, and I probably would include both the board and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in the motion. While I am in favor of our residents, having a say and their voice being heard, and I'm also in favor of ending the receivership, I do share Councilor Ryan's concerns around kind of a formal, and it sounds like there was some informal conversations about this non-binding process or non-binding question being put on the ballot, but we want to show the state that we're ready to take our community, to take our school system back. We need to show that we're going to follow procedures, and it isn't going to be backdoor conversations about governing our school system. So we need to follow process and make sure that we're putting things on their agenda if we want to bring something forward like this. I do agree, it is important, it should be on the ballot, but if we want to show that we're ready to take our school system over, we need to actually, put into action the words that we're saying. We need to follow what we're talking about.
Okay, at this point, since there's one, possibly two amendments, I'm going to ask for a formal motion to amend the question. Councilor Lazo, would you?
I would relinquish all amendments to whoever made them and the experts to the left on how to run the school district. I'm all set.
Okay, then I need a motion to amend. Councilor Rivas.
I will make a motion to amend the wording to say, shall the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education of the State of Massachusetts and the receivership of the Southbridge Public School District and return the control of the district to the town of Southbridge.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to amend. If I have this properly documented, the new question would read, shall the Massachusetts Department of Education, of Elementary and Secondary Education, and the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education end the receivership of the Southbridge Public School District and return the control of the district to the town of Southbridge? That sound good? All right, we have a motion and a second. The motion by Councilor Rivas, a second by Councilor Ryan. Any discussion on the amendment? Very good. All those in favor of the amendment? Anyone opposed? The amendment passes 7-0. Very good. So now we have an amended question on the floor. Further discussion on the amendment on the floor. Councilors? Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just the previous speaker, Mr. Jovan, we did, just so for information for the public, for anybody that decides to arrive tomorrow at 7 o'clock, here in the dais, we have a council of the whole meeting. We have invited all state representatives, commissioner, receiver, I think the governor's office to attend. We gave plenty of warning. As of right now, I have not heard back from anybody saying, can we change the date? There are some people that said, hey, we've got budget season, so I appreciate that. But I haven't heard anybody say, can we do it another day? Okay, because it doesn't really work for us. And I think tomorrow night will tell of what the state really thinks of us as a town. So I appreciate it. Thank you, and I fully support this.
Any other councilors? Former Chair Jovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, John Jovan, 80 Highland Street. I know you're only supposed to speak once to this issue, but to Councilor Adams' point, I think it is imperative that the town of Southbridge sends a message through a vote, through a ballot, whether it's non-binding or not, to this board that we want to be heard.
That's right.
When I was on the council 2 years ago, Chairman Daniel and I had a meeting with the Commissioner of Education. They didn't want anybody else in council there. They wanted to just meet with a select few, the commissioner. At that time, he made a commitment to the town of Southbridge that he would be back in the fall to meet with this board to continue the discussion about how we come out of receivership. That was a commitment that he made. Senator Fatman was there, Representative Durant was there. We thought we had a good dialogue. He said, well, there's going to be an election. We'll see how the election goes. Well, now we're almost 6 months post-election with no comments and no plan to exit. So whether it's just a symbolic message or not, I think it is vital that we actually get a ballot out there that says we want to be heard. The Board of Education was very quick to come and not listen to the school committee. We talked about listening to the school committee. That board did not want to hear from the Southbridge School Committee at that time. They just had it made up that they wanted to take us over. So I think it's time that they hear from our citizens about the good and the bad. I've been a big supporter of the receiver. I've had a lot of meetings with him, worked hard with him, but there has to be a plan. There has to be a plan of how we're going to develop our school committee and develop the capacity to take over the system. But it's going to, and I told the commissioner that, I conveyed that to the commissioner and said, you need to start the plan, not the receiver. It's not the receiver's job to start the plan to get the school committee up and running. It's the Board of Education's position. And after 6, 7 years, it gets harder and harder as me as a citizen and a community leader to defend the receiver at this point. But thank you. So I wish you to support it. Thank you.
Can I just respond?
Councilor Adams?
Just to caveat off that, I fully support this. It's been tough meeting with the receiver every couple months, having conversations, and then to see a possible plan come around and say, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, hopefully in a couple of years, whatever it may be, but there's still nothing there. And I think when the incident that happened at the schools kind of put me over the edge at that point in time, the town those are our children, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those are our children. It belongs to the community. That school system belongs to the community. We pay the taxes for that. We're the ones disciplining those children. We're the ones who are supposed to be taking care of our own community. I think at this point in time, we did ask the state to come down here for tomorrow night. I expect somebody to show up from the state, but it's going to tell me a lot about what the state really cares. I'm done having conversations all the time. I have no problem supporting the receiver on certain things, absolutely not. I have no problem meeting with him. It's time for the commissioner to come down here, have a conversation in the open, not this secret squirrel stuff that happened, and have a conversation with us. And you know what? Sometimes those conversations are going to be hard. I have no problem having a hard conversation and compromise somewhere to bring these schools back. It's killing us economically. It's killing us with our children. It's killing us with our school board. It's killing us with our town council, our residents, everything. And we just want a fair shake. And you know what? If it gets politicized, so what? Who cares? What do you think that's up here? What do you think is at a school board? What do you think that happens day in, day out in life? Politics happen, they get in the way once in a while. But if we can have a conversation with the state, it's, again, tomorrow night's going to tell me all about my representatives and all about the individuals that took the school system over. I am not in agreement that it has to be tomorrow that we take it over, because I think a lot of learning has to happen, but it's time for our town to bring it back. And I got to tell you, it's frustrating. I'm willing to work with the state, but if you're not willing to work with me, then you know what? Then we'll just post it all as much as we possibly can and throw it out there everywhere and saying, you know what? The commissioner has failed Southbridge. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
The thing is, when you do the history on this system, we went backwards. Everybody tries to dress it up. I went to a school committee meeting. Mr. Villar and the school committee were holding hands saying, kumbaya, everything is great. We had a gun incident. That's what spurred people, they got upset. I don't see any leadership or any way that we try and go at them. Yeah, I'm a fighter. I'll take on the state. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be respectful. We beat up Villar as a community, and he's not the problem. The problem is the state never created an exit plan for any school district to say, okay, this is the plan on how you go into receivership, and they scam that because you were supposed to be, we were level 1 high school, 3 middle school, and 3 level 2 elementary schools, and we got taken over with no blueprint of how do we come back and get our district back. As this goes on, the leadership starts at the top, and the top's not the school committee. The top is the counselors. They have the purse strings. They have the total run of the town. We need to provide that leadership. If I talk to a chairman of a board and you don't want to do anything, that's your business. That's not going to stop my mission. And then when that gun incident happened, I went to the meeting. Mr. Villar took total ownership of it. Going to be some changes. I get it. It's not working, though. Anybody thinks it's working, it's not. Talk to the parents. Talk to the teachers. Look at where we're ranked on the state stats, on MCAST and various other things. I didn't make all this up. Big Bad Scotty Lazo didn't make this up. They did it. Now let's hold them accountable to what they did to us. That's why this ballot question was so important to me when I brought it up. And citizens jumped on board. Mrs. Lapiori, nobody had to invite her. She was at school committee meeting. She came running over our men. Her husband's picking up more petitions. You want to get involved? Get involved. If you don't want to get involved, sit on the sideline and let the leaders lead the community. And I think I commend Dave Adams for having enough. It took take everybody a little bit. It took Mr. Jovan a little bit to get mad about it. He understands it more than anybody. Mr. Adams, now we need to sit down and find out what that, measure them up on what they're worth to the town of Southbridge. But the bottom line is, I bleed red. I'm about Southbridge, and you know, you want to go hold hands with them? Go ahead. I don't hold hands with the state. I want to hold them accountable for what they did to Southbridge. Thank you.
Sir.
William Cody, 243 Everett Street, lifelong resident in Southbridge. Question, maybe I've missed it, and I've asked it a lot of times. What are the scores from when they were before the state took over, and now that the scores that the state's been here for so long? I've been told that they have not approved. I've heard they've been gotten worse. I've asked, no one's ever came up with any answers to me. And the second question, and it was discussed a while ago and stuff, and Mr. Daniels, chair, you said you knew people up in the school department and stuff, and you were going to talk to them. What, did you ever talk to them? Was anything ever said? When we were talking before about getting this to a vote to get them out of here.
We have had discussions, and not much has happened. Generally speaking, Councilor Adams and I talked about it. We decided that the council, the whole meeting for tomorrow night would be a wonderful opportunity to allow the various parties that are involved in this to come forward to discuss with us in a reasonable, rational, and responsive way to inform the citizens of Southbridge about the status of the Southbridge public school system. And as a result, I invited, I sent personal invitations either through the government website or through personal websites, emails to the governor's office, to the commissioner of education, to the secretary of education, to the receiver, to the state representative, to the state senator, the state representative, and the response has been less than overwhelming. We'll find out tomorrow night exactly who comes. I have heard, I've gotten one response that a person will come in the place of one of the representatives, but aside from that, there's no guarantee that anyone else is going to show up. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. I'll have some remarks to make, and we'll have a reasonable discussion about what the status is as far as we can tell, and we'll make our feelings known. And if the powers that be in Boston feel that they want to see what we think, and they're not here, well then we will be on cable TV, it will be taped, and they can look at the tape and see for themselves exactly what it is that we're thinking and what it is that's going on. And then, if this ballot question, request for a ballot question passes this evening, and it's put on the ballot, they'll also have the results of the election on June 13th as well to see what the people in town think.
Okay, and also back to my question, did I miss it, or does anybody know what the scores have been? Have they gone up, down, the same?
In the past, the receiver has, given the receiver's due, he has made presentations involving what the scores are currently, what they have been, whether they've gone up or down in various areas. My concern is that what you bring forward, which is that while he has made many presentations actually regarding that, he's made the presentations to a limited audience. He directs the presentations to the counselors that be, to the school committee, and to the people of the district, of the school district. And I feel, my personal opinion is that the larger population of the town of Southbridge needs to be addressed as well, because we all have a concern for the school district. We all have an investment in the school district, And I think that your being here tonight, saying that you haven't gotten the message of any sort, belies what I've been thinking as being the case, which is that no matter how often you have to say it over and over and over again in front of venue, in front of venue, in front of venue, the message needs to be brought out, good or bad, the message needs to be brought out. So our purpose, Councilor Adams and I, Vice Chair Adams and I, the purpose of the meeting tomorrow night is to do that, to get it out. We'll be on cable TV, it'll be on YouTube, it'll be on the government channels, on the cable TV. People can be here tomorrow in person to see it, and you know, they'll find out what we think. They'll find out, hopefully, if people show up, what the state feels is going on, what they feel is their response to our concerns. Because at this point, I don't have demands to make as much as I have concerns to make known. And I think that we all have concerns on the council to be made known, and they need to be heard. They need to be respected. And if people aren't showing up, then I think that they're telling us something. And I don't necessarily like that message. There isn't a lot necessarily that we can do about it. I mean, owing to the legislation involving receivership, there's not a lot we can do, but we can certainly make people know in Boston what we think, what we feel, and we can begin to demand some action to help us out. I know that there are 2 other districts in the state that are in receivership. They've been in for longer periods of time than we have been. And I know that they've talked about wanting to get out of receivership as well. It doesn't seem to have gone too well for them either. But I think that speaks to a problem in Boston. And perhaps people will hear us a little differently.
Again, though, what I was asking, I didn't, maybe I'm not hearing things right. Have they given actual numbers? Because, I mean, that would be the...
Yes, at meetings, the receiver has given numbers, and also the numbers are publicly available to anyone by going to the Department of Education and Secondary Education, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education website, and you can look up Southbridge in particular, and it's all there in magnificent color.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And for all your efforts. I mean, it's not easy, and like I said before, everybody's got complaints and everything else. If they got complaints, then they should come up and spend the time you guys are spending. It's appreciated. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Councilor Ryan, then Councilor Rivas.
I just also want to add on to that, because your question is a very good one. Unfortunately, it's hard to just go score by score because they change the type of tests they do during that time, but we went from being in the bottom 10 to being in the bottom 3. So that's not a good sign, right? Like, the facts speak for itself, so I just wanted to make that out there. It's harder to track the data point to data point because they changed the type of test they use with MCAS. They made it a PARC MCAS hybrid. So the scoring's different, but we're still in the bottom, and we're far closer to the bottom than we were before.
Councilor Rivas.
Through you, Chair, there has been incremental progress as opposed to what the receiver has touted as significant progress in like very specific areas when you look at some of the scores. But the biggest problem is transparency. Our school committee members have asked question after question. Our town councilors up here, some of us who are on the advisory committee have asked a lot of questions for information, right? Some of us who've worked in the school system, our EHS subcommittee has asked for data, for information, and we're just not getting the information that we're asking for. That isn't transparency from a leader. And a leader in any capacity has to take criticism. That's part of being a leader. And you have to work with a community that it's not going to go anywhere if he's not willing to be transparent with all, school committee members, I've been and I've watched the meetings, and I know that they do their due diligence and ask very good questions. They're wanting to get information. and it's just not coming. I mean, the budget that was presented to them didn't have any line items. That is insulting, to present a budget without any line items when all of our departments and our town manager works so hard to bring us data, numbers. What have you cut? What does this go to? Our citizens, our families have a right to get that information. And hopefully, I hope that our leaders at the state level show up tomorrow, because they need to have a conversation with us. Otherwise, I don't know about everyone else, but I will try to get on the Board of Education's agenda, because our town and our community is important.
Councilor Lazo, I believe you wish to speak.
I don't want to beleaguer the issue, but it is a passionate issue with all of us. We looked at the MCAS scoring. We're like second from the bottom in the state. We had a gun incident. The signals and the red flags are flying high. Everybody sees it at this council. Everybody sees it on the school committee. The citizens see it. Boston doesn't. So the only thing I understood was, in a democracy, because a receivership is a dictatorship, and that's no play on the person in the position. It's a position that becomes dictatorial, where you lost all your veteran teachers when the first one put everybody on a notice and they hit the retirement button and left. Then you turned around, you have a revolving door with employees, administrators. That's not Southbridge's fault. You know, this is what receiverships do. People don't want to come here because we're in a receivership. Don't send your children here because they're not in a receivership. You're in a receivership. So when you look at it, the purest of purists that we can do as a counselor is go to the people. And in a democracy, usually the voice of the people is listen. You don't want to listen to the council? That's fine. You don't want to listen to the school committee? They've done that. Now you can listen to the electorate and see how that works. And I think that's the last option before I would suggest economic sanctions on the money being wasted at the top. Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. Roll call.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Adams?
Yes.
Chair Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
And Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
7-0, the motion passes. There'll be a question on the ballot in June. Very good. You're all set. Question number 31. Amendments to the Southbridge zoning bylaw, Section 5, dimensional regulations, and vote to adopt said bylaw amendment. Bylaw needs to be read. Does anyone want to volunteer to read it? Okay. Yep. You want this one, or?
All right, just the red, right, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Okay. Under 5.2, general provisions, A, strike out A. In residential zones, R1, R2, R3, lowercase m, and then there's more than one principal use on a lot is prohibited. Strike out unless the additional areas for each unit is excess of one, and strike out for multifamily R3 only. General provisions under 5.2, again, B, computation of lot area, the computing the area of any non-residential lot, no part of a public or private way, strike out, and no part of a pond, certified vernal pool, or perennial stream or river. Just checking with the town planner. We're gone? Okay, thank you. All right, under 5.2.1, supplemental lots regulations, A1, under lot frontage. Minimum of lot frontage required. Every newly created, which is newly created, added, lot must have at least the minimal frontage set forth in Table 2 for the district in which the lot is located on a street as defined in Section 2 of this bylaw. Add in, required frontage for rear lots shall be minimum of 50 feet. Under R1, front setback begins where the lot meets the minimum lot frontage required under Table 2. Number 521A2, we're adding in on the second line, sideline of so the whole paragraph is measurement of lot frontage. Frontage is measured in a continuous line along the strikeout sideline of and continue on with street right-of-way between the point of intersection and the side lot lines, which is the street right-of-way line. The measurement of a lot frontage excludes jogs in the street with strikeout backup strips, and then the rest of the sentence is, and other irregularities in the street line. Under 3, access, an owner shall provide a mean of access for vehicles from the frontage to a principal building for emergency services, strikeout 4, and then it goes on deliveries, and 4, again, strikeout off-street parking. All access to lots shall be through the lot frontage, strikeout, except the DPW director or designee may approve access over another property line if the applicant demonstrates the DPW director or designee satisfactions that such other access is a safer alternate. But add in now, no more than 2 rear lots shall have a contiguous frontage. Next page, under 5 TAC 2. It'll be 5.2.1 C2. Added in on the last part of that paragraph is unless specifically permitted in this bylaw, and strike out 2 at the bottom of that. So it should be 1 and 2. D, corner visibility. Under D2, we're striking out the word that, where it says provided that where, so we're striking out the word that. Under E, maximum building height shall be determined, strike out as defined in section 10, adding in by table 2 in this section. Limitations of the height shall not apply to belfries, chimneys, flag, add in limited to 110% of the height of the structure on the property. Or radio poles, strike out gas holders, grain elevators, add in silos as well. Water towers, strike out nor to the bulkheads, hose towers. And then elevator enclosures, water tanks, strike out scenery lofts or scenery towers, nor to strike out churches or municipal or institutional buildings. Under 5.2.2, transition under A, strike out side yards and rear yards for that portion of a lot which adjoins the boundary line of a more restricted districts than that in which the lot is located. Side yard and rear yard requirements shall be the same as those which apply to lots in the more restrictive districts. Add in there, though, proper buffering either by a 10-foot plant strip and or adequate fencing is required. See section 7.2.4D. The following under 5.2.2, letters B and C are all stricken out. So those paragraphs say B, strike out setback for that portion of a lot which fronts on the same street within 100 feet of the boundary line of a more restrictive district than that in which the lot is located. Setback requirements shall be the average between the requirements for the less restricted district and that which applies to the lots of the more restricted districts. And C is struck out, building height, a building on a lot adjoining or within 50 feet of the boundary line of a more restrictive district than that in which the lot is located shall conform to the height regulations of the more restrictive district. Again, B and C are stricken out. Under the table 2, under 5 TAC 5, district, let's see, I'll go line by line if I can here. Single family R1 lot, we're adding in with water and sewer. Under stories, maximum building height, stories, we're striking out 2.5. Next line down, lot without, we're adding lot without water and sewer. We're adding in there under minimum lot area, 43,560. Minimum frontage is now 175. Minimum setback is 50, 20, and 35 on front, side, and rear, feet 35. Next line down, adding in rear lot with water and sewer. Again, under minimum lot area is 43,560. Minimum frontage is 50 feet. Driveway, 175 interior width. Adding in there under minimum setbacks. Front is 50, side is 20, and rear is now 35. And then maximum building height is, 35. And then adding in, next line down, rear lot without water and sewer. Minimum area square footage is 130,680. Minimum frontage would be 50 feet on the driveway, 250 in the interior width. Minimum setback under front, side, and rear now say 50, 20, 35. Maximum building height is now 35. Accessory structure, under minimum setback, is instead of 30, it's now 50. And under maximum building height is now 20 instead of 35. And stories has been struck out at 1.5. Under two-family R2 lot, under maximum building height stories, 2.5 has been struck out. Accessory structure under maximum building height, again, is from 35 to 20 and striking out 1.5, 1.5. Multiple family or R3, allowed residential use, set 2,500, it's going to be now 5,000. Central core CC, multifamily, we're going to add next to multifamily is residential. Next line down, mixed under central core, mixed use building, under minimum setback, instead of 10 it's now 0, side 10 is stricken out, 0 now, and I think it was 20, and is now 0 as well. And then under maximum lot coverage is 70 struck out, and then 100%. Under all other uses, again, the minimum setback is 0, 0, 0 under front, side, and rear. And then under maximum lot coverage is now 100% instead of 70. Under retail businesses or RB or general businesses GB, all uses under maximum lot coverage is now 50 instead of 20. And mixed use building is now 50 instead of 25. Next page, 5 tax 6. District per unit is now 5,000 instead of 2,500. And other notes to table 2, B is now, the original B is now stricken out where it says on a corner lot only the front of the building must meet requirements. The side street line shall be considered the side property line. However, if the garage is constructed on the side street, it must be set back the greater of 20 feet. And number 2, the side building line of the principal building on the lot. And then, so B is struck out, a new B has been replaced, and it states front, side, and rear setbacks for commercial ground mount solar photovoltaic installation of up to 70 kilowatts on property 5 acres or less are 7, and they also added feet there now too as well.
Thank you very much. Item number 32, amendments to Southbridge zoning bylaw, section 9-1, floodplain overlay district, and vote to adopt said bylaw amendment. Councilman Tigney.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll start with 9.1.2, overlay district defined. It will now read, the floodplain district is herein established as an overlay district. The district includes all special flood hazard areas within the town of Southbridge designated as Zone A, AE, AH, AO, or A99 on the Worcester County Flood Insurance Rate Map firm dated January 23rd, 2023, as amended, issued by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for the administration of the National Flood Insurance Program. The exact boundaries of the district shall be defined by the 1% chance base flood elevation shown on the firm and further defined by the Worcester County Flood Insurance Study, FIS, report dated January 23, 2023, as amended. The firm and FIS report are incorporated herein by reference and are on file with the town clerk, planning board, building official, conservation commission, and board of health. What has been struck out from that was the floodplain district is herein established as an overlay district. The underlying permitted uses are allowed provided that they meet the requirements of this section 9.1 and that those of the Massachusetts State Building Code dealing with construction in floodplains. The floodplain district includes all special flood hazard areas designated as Zone A, A/1-30 on the Southbridge flood insurance rate maps firm, and the flood boundary and floodway maps dated March 15, 1982, on file with the town clerk, planning board, and zoning enforcement officer. These maps, as well as the accompanying Southbridge flood insurance study, are incorporated herein by reference. 9.1.3, base flood elevation and floodway data. We now have section A reading in zones in zones A, A1-30, and AE, along watercourses that have not had a regulatory floodway designated. The best available federal, state, local, or other floodway data shall be used to prohibit encroachments in floodways, which would result in any increase in flood levels within the community during the occurrence of the base flood discharge. What has been struck out from that is floodway data in Zone A and AE along watercourses that have not had a regulatory floodway designated. The best available federal, state, local, or other floodway data shall be used to prohibit encroachments in floodways, which would result in any increase in flood levels within the community during the occurrence of the base flood discharge. The old A has now been changed to B. In zones, and we're adding in zones A1-30 and AE along watercourses that have a regulatory floodway designated on the town's firm encroachments are prohibited, including fill, new construction, substantial improvements, and other development within the adopted regulatory floodway unless it has been demonstrated through hydrologic and hydraulic analysis performed in accordance with standard engineering practice that the proposed encroachment would not result in any increase in flood levels within the community during the occurrence of the base flood discharge. And the next part is changed to C accordingly from B. Then we are changing 9.14, adding designation of a community floodplain administrator. The town of Southbridge hereby designates the position of Director of Public Works to be the official floodplain administrator for the town. Then 9.1.5, notification of watercourse alteration, reads, if the town acquires data that changes the base flood elevation in the FEMA mapped special flood hazard areas, the town will, within 6 months, notify FEMA of these changes by submitting the technical or scientific data that supports the changes. Notification shall be submitted to, and then it lists the communities. That's not changing, but we're striking out the words notify in a riverine situation the following of any alteration or relocation of a watercourse. 9.1.5 is now 9.1.6, development regulations, and we're adding in the middle, I'll just read the thing here, special permits. In the floodway designated on the flood boundary and floodway map, no structure or building shall be erected, constructed, substantially improved, or otherwise created or moved. No earth or other materials dumped, filled, or otherwise created or moved. No earth or other materials dumped, filled, excavated, or transferred. And the language we're adding is right after the comma and transferred says, including new construction or changes to existing buildings, placement of manufactured homes, placement of agricultural facilities, fences, sheds, storage facilities, or drilling, mining, paving, and any other development that might increase flooding or adversely impact flood risks to other properties. In that same section, at the end, 3 is broken up into 2 pieces now, where the ending of number 3 is now number 4. The planning board may specify such additional requirements and conditions it finds necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people and the occupants of the proposed use. Then we're adding section 5 to that, which is the town's permit review process includes the requirement that the proponent obtain all local, state, and federal permits that will be necessary in order to carry out the proposed development in the floodplain overlay district. The proponent must acquire all necessary permits and must demonstrate that all necessary permits have been acquired. Adding section 6 says, in A zones, in the absence of FEMA, BFE data, and floodway data, the building department will obtain, review, and reasonably utilize base flood elevation and floodway data available from a federal, state, or other source as criteria for requiring new construction, substantial improvements, or other development in Zone A, and as the basis for elevating residential structures to or above base flood level, for floodproofing or elevating non-residential structures to or above base flood level, and for prohibiting encroachments in floodways. Adding section 7 says within zones AO and AH on the firm, adequate drainage paths must be provided around structures on slopes to guide floodwaters around and away from proposed structures. Then the old number 4, which is now number 8, is going to say in A1-30, AH, and AE zones, all recreational vehicles to be placed on a site must be elevated and anchored in accordance with the zone's regulations for foundation and elevation requirements, or be on the site for less than 180 consecutive days, or be fully licensed and highway ready. Now in section B, after 1, 2, 3 here, it's going to say a variance from these floodplain bylaws must meet the requirements set out by state law and may only be granted if, 1, good and sufficient cause and exceptional non-financial hardship exists. 2, the variance will not result in additional threats to public safety, extraordinary public expense, or fraud or victimization of the public. And 3, the variance is the minimum action necessary to afford relief. And we have struck out the language, any variances from the provisions and requirements of the above referenced state regulations may only be granted in accordance with the required variance procedures of those regulations. We are adding, if the state issues variances to the flood resistant standards as found in the state building code, the community will use this text for local adoption. The town will request from the State Building Code Appeals Board a written or audible copy of the portion of the hearing related to the variance and will maintain this record in the community's files. The town shall also issue a letter to the property owner regarding potential impacts to the annual premiums for the flood insurance policy covering that property, in writing over the signature of a community official that, lowercase I, the issuance of a variance to construct a structure below the base flood level will result in increased premium rates for flood insurance up to amounts as high as $25 for $100 of insurance coverage, and 2 lowercase i's, such construction below the base flood level increases risks to life and property. Such notification shall be maintained with the record of all variance actions for the reference development in the floodplain overlay district. We'll be adding 9.1.7, abrogation. The floodplain management regulations found in this floodplain overlay district section shall take precedence over any less restrictive conflicting local laws, ordinances, or codes. We'll be adding 9.1.8, disclaimer of liability. The degree of flood protection required by this bylaw is considered reasonable but does not imply total flood protection. And finally, 9.1.9, severability will be added. It will say, if any section, provision, or portion of this bylaw is deemed to be unconstitutional or invalid by a court, the remainder of the ordinance shall be effective. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Tigney. Item number 33, amendments to the Southbridge zoning bylaw, section 10, definitions, and vote to adopt said bylaw amendment. Councilor Rivas.
Under adult daycare, strike A and lowercase s and add a capital S. 10-2, under substantial or significant portion, strike the terms substantial or significant portion as used herein shall mean any of the following. Under agriculture exempt as defined in add M to MGL. Under agriculture non-exempt, adding horticulture uses viticulture, and silviculture. And under automobile service station, striking NY, and so that it says a building. Under 10-3, boarding house, adding a dwelling providing rooms for rent to not more than 4 unrelated people paying rent on a weekly or monthly basis with shared cooking, eating, and sanitation facilities and adequate means of emergency egress, as well as parking as determined by the zoning enforcement officer and subject to annual licensure by the town council. Under building height, striking lowercase t and adding capital T. Under story, half, striking lowercase t and adding a capital T. 10-4, under camp, striking vacation, striking land use or intended to be used, let, or rented for occupancy by campers traveling by automobile or otherwise, or for occupancy by house, trailers, tents, or movable or temporary dwellings, rooms, or sleeping quarters of any kind. Sturbridge definition, also being struck out, so that it reads, a parcel of land used or intended to be used, let, or rented for temporary short-term occupancy, not to exceed 90 days, by campers or transient tourists utilizing tents, recreational vehicles, or other types of movable or temporary shelter. Striking child care center, and as defined in GLC 15D, Section 1A. 10-5, under dwelling unit, striking out means so that it reads, a single unit providing complete independent living facilities for 1 or more persons, including permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. Under educational institutional terms, adding the following terms relate to educational institutional uses. Under child care center, striking child care center so that it reads, staff members provide care for groups of children often placed in classrooms by age as defined in MGL C15D, Section 1A. Under hospital, striking hospital or at the end so that it reads, an institution providing primary health services and medical or surgical care to persons, primarily inpatients, suffering from illness, disease, injury, deformity, and other physical or mental conditions, and including as an integral part of the institution related facilities such as laboratories, outpatient facilities, training facilities, medical offices, and staff residencies. Under nursing home and care facility, striking nursing home at the end so that it reads, any institution, whether conducted for charity or profit, which is advertised, announced, or maintained for the express or implied purpose of providing 3 or more individuals admitted thereto with long or short-term resident nursing, convalescent, or rehabilitative care, supervision, and care for ambulatory persons or retired home care for elderly persons. Long-term care facility shall include convalescent or nursing homes, rest homes, infirmaries, and sanitariums. Under library, striking an information atheneum in which literary, musical, artistic, or reference materials such as books, manuscripts, recordings, or films are kept for use but not for sale. Libraries are often include classrooms, computer sciences, and host community activities so that it reads, or adding, a collection of resources in a variety of formats that is organized by information professionals or other experts who provide convenient physical, digital, bibliographic, or intellectual access and and offer targeted services and programs with the mission of educating, informing, or entertaining a variety of audiences and the goal of stimulating individual learning and advancing society as a whole. Under museum, striking library or museum so that it reads a public or quasi-public facilities, including aquariums, I can't pronounce that word. Arboretums, art galleries, and exhibitions. Arboretums, okay. I learned a new word. And exhibitions, botanical gardens, historic sites, and exhibits, archive libraries, and planetariums with no retail sales activities other than artwork, an accessory gift / bookshop, and/or accessory food sale. Striking private for-profit educational use and adding private for-profit educational use, accredited or non-accredited educational facilities owned and/or operated by a private company or business that usually does not receive state or federal aid and are often managed by investors and stakeholders. Striking public or private nonprofit educational use and adding public or private nonprofit educational use, educational facilities owned by a nonprofit organization that often receives state or federal aid. Striking religious use and adding religious use, any use including services, meetings, education, and any other activities conducted by or for a religious group or organization. Under family, striking not more than 3, and striking this definition shall not preclude more than 3 unrelated people with disabilities as defined in the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, as amended, occupying a group home. Under farm, adding including above-ground tanks for farm vehicles and machinery. Under floodplains related terms, the following terms apply to floodplains. Development, any man-made change to improve or unimproved real estate, including but not limited to building or other structures, mining, dredging, filling, grading, paving, excavation or drilling operations, or storage of equipment or materials. Floodway, the channel of the river, creek, or other water source, and the adjacent land areas that must be reserved in order to discharge the base flood without cumulatively increasing the water surface elevation more than a designated height. Functionally dependent use, a use which cannot perform its intended purpose unless it is located or carried out in close proximity to water. The term includes only docking facilities, port facilities that are necessary for the loading and unloading of cargo or passengers, and shipbuilding and ship repair facilities, but does not include long-term storage or related manufacturing facilities. Highest adjacent grade, the highest natural elevation of the ground surface prior to construction next to the proposed walls of a structure. Historic structure, any structure that is A, listed individually in the National Registry of Historic Places, a listing maintained by the Department of Interior, or preliminarily determined by the Secretary of Interior as meeting the requirements for individual listing on the National Register. B, certified or preliminary determined by the Secretary of the Interior as contributing to the historical significance of a registered historic district or a district preliminarily determined by the Secretary to qualify as a registered historic district. C, individually listed on a state inventory of historic places in states with historic preservation programs which have been approved by the Secretary of the Interior. Or D, individually listed on a local inventory of historic places and communities with historic preservation programs that have been certified either, 1, by an approved state program as determined by the Secretary of Interior, or 2, directly by the Secretary of the Interior in states without approved programs. New construction, structures from which the start of construction commenced on or after the effective date of the first floodplain management code, regulation, ordinance, or standard adopted by the authority having jurisdiction, including any subsequent improvements to such structures. New construction includes work determined to be substantial improvement. Recreational vehicle, a vehicle which is A, built on a single chassis, B, 400 square feet or less when measured at the largest horizontal projection, C, designed to be self-propelled or permanently towable by a light-duty truck, and D, designed primarily not for use as a permanent dwelling, but as a temporary living quarters for recreational, camping, travel, or seasonal use. Regulatory floodway, special flood hazard area, the land area subject to flood hazards and shown on a flood insurance rate map or other flood hazard map as Zone A, AE, A1-30, A99, AR, AO, AH, V, VO, VE, or V1-30. Start of construction. The date of issuance for new construction and substantial improvements to existing structures, provided the actual start of construction, repair, reconstruction, rehabilitation, addition, placement, or other improvement is within 180 days after the date of issuance. The actual start date of construction means the first placement of a permanent construction of a building, including a manufactured home on a site, such as pouring of a slab or footings, installation of pilings, or construction of columns. Permanent construction does not include land preparation, such as clearing, excavation, grading, or filling. The installation of streets or walkways, excavation for a basement, footings, piers, or foundations. The erection of temporary forms or the installation of accessory buildings, such as garages or sheds, not occupied as dwelling units or not part of the main building. For a substantial improvement, the actual start of construction means the first alteration of any wall, ceiling, floor, or other structural part of a building, whether or not that alteration affects the external dimensions of the building. Structure. For floodplain management purposes, a walled and roofed building, including gas or liquid storage tank that is principally above ground, as well as a manufactured home. Substantial repair of a foundation. When work to repair or replace a foundation results in the repair or replacement of a portion of the foundation with a perimeter along the base of the foundation that equals or exceeds 50% of the perimeter of the base of the foundation measured in linear feet, or repair or replacement of 50% of the piles, columns or piers of a pile, column or pier supported foundation. The building official shall determine it to be substantial repair of a foundation. Applications determined by the building official to constitute substantial repair of a foundation shall require all existing portions of the entire building or structure to meet the requirements of 780 CMR, as amended by Mass in 9th edition BC. Variance, a grant of relief by a community from the terms of floodplain management regulation. Violation, the failure of a structure or other development to be fully compliant with the community's floodplain management regulations. A structure or other development without the elevation certificate, other certifications, or other evidence of compliance required in 60.3 is presumed to be in violation until such time as that documentation is provided. Under kennel, commercial, striking define so that it reads an establishment used for boarding, holding, daycare, overnight strays, or training of dogs that are not the property of the owner of the establishment, at which such services are rendered in exchange for consideration and in the absence of the owner of any such dog. An establishment engaged in the business of breeding animals for sale or exchange to wholesalers, brokers, or pet shops in return for consideration. However, kennels shall not include an animal shelter or animal control facility, a pet shop license under Section MGL, Chapter 129, Section 39A, a grooming facility operated solely for the purpose of grooming and not for overnight boarding, or an individual who temporarily and not in the normal course of business boards or cares for animals owned by others. 10-9, under lot corner, adding a lot having frontage on 2 or more streets shall have 2 or more front yards, each of which shall comply with the requirements of the front yard provisions. In no case shall any building or structure be located closer to the sideline of a street than the minimum required front setback. And that concludes the reading of 33.
Congratulations. You got through.
I think I got the harder one.
That was good.
I was going to offer to jump in, but you doing it so well, you know.
Very good. Mr. Ramsey, I believe you, Mr. Rumsey, I believe you have a clarification for the council on this.
I do, yes, I'm sorry. In section 9.16B, the state wanted us to add in just a title when it starts talking about variances to the building code, just to specify that as variances to the building code. They had a couple of other suggestions for us since the public hearing and since our last review, and they were very minor, which the changes were read by Councilor Montigny, and other than that, they've said that things look good so far.
Very good. So we're all set for the first reading?
Yes, and thank you all for reading those for me.
Very good. I know we're on a time frame. We have to get it done by the end of May, right?
Correct. We have to have them fully approved and authorized by June 21st.
All right, so we're on a time frame. Okay, very good. We're all set? Great. Thank you, Eric. Item number 34, Council's Forum. Councilor Montigny.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to thank everybody for all the good things that we voted in tonight, especially figuring out trash, putting the question on the ballot. It's nice to see us all have unanimous. The one thing I didn't appreciate, of course, was the salary study, and I would be remiss if I don't mention that it was under $12,000 for us to hire a town manager search firm, and you could hire them more than 4 times and still not reach the price of this salary study. I just think it's crazy. But I will be at Beautify Southbridge this weekend. It says the rain date is Sunday. It's supposed to sprinkle Saturday and rain Sunday. So let's just go out there, rain or shine, on Saturday. You can find me there 8:30 in the morning with my good friend Ariel Ortiz. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. Maybe we could take that salary study off the shelf, put a 6% raise across the board, which is 3 and 3 over the 10 years that it's been, and we could save ourselves $50,000. But that aside, we'll move on. I'd just like to thank the readers tonight that read the bylaws. I've been on council on and off in government. It never made sense to me to do the readings. Maybe, like we said, maybe that's going to change, and we can waive the readings. And we have other ways with technology to do these deeds of getting the information out to the people instead of sitting here and reading them off. But I want to thank the readers. Good job. Mr. Chairman, I want to give you credit tonight. You did a good job. You had a tough road to hoe. You had a public hearing, an executive session, and a loaded agenda. And I think you did a fine job. Thank you very much for being the chairman.
Thank you. All set? Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Councilor Rivas.
So I want to mention that on Thursday, the WRTA Advisory Board voted in the approval for the budget, which included the continuation of the fare-free rides with the CARES Act money that they still have to utilize. We're going to be working hard to advocate for our state legislators to find funding. Ridership, there had been an article that was read at the meeting, or that was referenced at the meeting about the increase in ridership after the pandemic, and we really need to advocate for that in Southbridge. Our community has been isolated for a long time, and the WRTA bus routes that now help our community are an integral piece to keeping our residents connected, to have access to employment out of town, really helping our community, and to go to appointments or whatever they may need. Those services are a critical and crucial component, and I think Councilor Ryan, who led that fight and made sure that we had that fare-free ridership since the pandemic. So I'm continuing the good work that Councilor Ryan has done on this board, and I'm really happy to report that we did do that. Let's see, I do encourage folks to, as was presented earlier by our chair, to volunteer for any of our commissions and boards that need, and committees that need people. This is sort of the path for people to become counselors in the future, or school committee members, and it is really important to be role models to our young people and let them know that we do care. That is how we give back to our community. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention voter registration. I've been out in the community with one of our Youth Voices panel in front of Los Hermanos, a few other businesses, Styles. I know he was there the other day. And it is really important. There is so much on this town ballot, on this election, June 13th. There are competitive races. It is really important for our residents to participate, to get registered to vote. You have time. I think the deadline is sometime in May. I think at end of May. I don't have the exact date. But it is really important to get your family and friends registered to vote if they are not registered. And you'll see me out in the community. Please let us know. We'd be happy to bring you forms and deliver them to the town clerk. I think that's it for me.
Very good. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I just also want to add on to Councilor Rivas' comments and thank her for her leadership on this as well, on the fare-free busing. I take the bus regularly. I actually just rode it this week going into Worcester, and I got to talk to a lot of people, and everybody loves the fare-free busing. It helps those who are most economically disadvantaged. The bus, it gets people to their appointments, it gets them to their jobs, it gets them to go spend money. It's why the Worcester Chamber of Commerce has endorsed it. It's why equity groups have endorsed it. And when you have both of them on the same side, you know you're doing the right thing. So I want to thank her for that. And I will also be participating in Beautify Southbridge this weekend. So make sure you come out, come contribute back to your community. It's always a fun time. I love being out there. And I hope to see all of you out there. That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Dow.
I'm all set this time. Thank you.
Very good. Vice Chair Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple things. Opening day is this weekend for our Little League, so look forward to that happening on Saturday, and obviously Beautify Southbridge, so hope to see counselors out there participating. I just want to update everybody on the town manager search. We are meeting on May 4th for an overall view of what the search firm has provided to us so far, with the interviews from the staff to the town councilors to some of our local leaders, business persons, residents, and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to having that, and I'll be sending out some of that information to the town manager search committee tomorrow, so they can take a look at it before the meeting itself. So that's moving along fast and furious, which is really good. I want to say thank you. I'll make a comment on the $50,000 for the study. I completely understand where individuals are coming from, but I heard a lot of talk and of requests, and I never saw any come across my desk. I did hear a lot of, can we do this, can we do that, but didn't see it come across, and they brought it across. So you're out of luck on 50 grand at this point in time. So I do appreciate the comments, and I do enjoy the banter back and forth, but sometimes empty cans make the loudest noises. Anyways, also Memorial Day is coming up, May 29th, so we're looking forward to getting the word out there and seeing all the residents. And I just want to say to the town council up here, thank you for your service. You guys, I know we kid back and forth, sometimes we get a little perturbed with each other, but the fact is, we're here. It's 10:20 in the evening, and we're going through a lot of things got accomplished today. So we've been up here for quite some time, so thank you for your guys' time and service. I look forward to the individuals who are running. I believe that's tomorrow that are there due. So let's see who, I think there was like 12 or 13 who pulled papers. Let's see who actually turned them in. And then we'll find out in June who actually wins and who we'll be working with. So we'll start seeing signs popping up all over the place very, very soon, which is a good thing. Last thing is agenda item number 35, discussion of the next meeting date, which will be May 8th, 2023, here in the dais at 7 p.m. That's all I've got.
Very good. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Ryan, second by Councilor Rivas to adjourn. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Unanimous of all present. We are adjourned. Thank you, Sue.